10 years ago, I made the decision to build my personal brand that was elevated, yet approachable, and reflected who I was, not just what I did. I created my website with Show It because it's true drag and drop freedom, so you can easily build and update your site. Plus, their real human support team, game changer. Want to try it for yourself? Head to jasminestore.com/show it for a 14-day free trial and first month free when you subscribe. Have you ever looked at an Excel spreadsheet and got a nervous twitch in your eye? Worst case, how many of us would actually raise our hands and say, you know what I want right now? I want to watch a video on how to use Excel. If you are like me and you think of equations or cells or even opening a spreadsheet and then you're just like, not today, it will not come for me today. I'm here to change your mind. But wait, this is not a masterclass in Excel. What we are going to be talking to is the master chef of Excel, the master queen of Excel, the master blaster from Lancaster. We have nobody else other than Kat Norton, and we're going to be talking about the business of her business. Now, yes, her business has to do a lot with Excel, but what we want to do is help you excel in life, in business, in content, and getting attention. Kat Norton, welcome to the Jasmine Star Show.
Thank you. What an intro. Wow.
Oh, say less. I am so happy that you are here. Now, most people, if they've been watching and listening for a while, they know that I only bring people in that I know personally, that I have gone on deep dives with. And so you and I met in person a couple months ago, but I've been watching and consuming your content, and I'm just a watcher. I like to study people that deeply inspire me by doing things different. So when we met in person, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Kat, and I'm geeking out. So talk to me about our first interaction, and we're going to bring the audience right here at the table with us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was such an exciting day. So we were at the Powerhouse Women event.
Yes.
And we were backstage. It was right after I came off is when we really actually talked. And it was during lunch. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I want to meet Jasmine. I want to be friends with her. And then I walked in and we started talking. And then you were at the snack table.
Snack table.
Yes.
That's
and I
me.
was like,
that's me.
Yeah, you were solo at the snack table. And I'm like, I'm going to go talk to her. And I walked over. You were like, Kat, where are you from? And I was like, oh, like Sedona. And then you were talking about Newport. And I was like, I used to live in Newport. I'm actually like going there soon. And then we realized like it was aligning perfectly when we were filming the show. And we were like, this is meant to be.
It was meant to be. And I think that is such a good dovetail into talking about alignment.
Yeah.
It was, I'd been following a while, and unbeknownst to me, you wanted to meet. So it was like both of us meeting and then us being at the same place at the same time. And I believe exactly the snack table that brought us together, I love it. So what I find so fascinating is that you have built a multi-7-figure on your way to 8-figure business on the back of Excel.
Yes.
You have been featured in every major news outlet. You've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in a couple days or a day based on these offers. So what I want to do before we get into origin story, it's give us an overview of what your business is. Yeah. And then we're going to get into how it got there, what you're doing now, how you make content, how you cut through the noise, how you have millions of followers on TikTok, millions of followers on Instagram. There's so much to unpack here. What is the business of your business?
Yeah. So the business is really, we make tech skills fun. And overall, we do this through selling courses online. Mainly that I'd say is our like bread and butter through the webinar model. And then we also have a newer product that just launched last week called our Excel Panic Button, which is my first recurring revenue service business. So that has been a really fun learning experience, getting that off the ground. And and then we have a whole corporate division, a collegiate division where we sell to companies, we sell to universities, all different courses. And then we also sell live trainings, which started off with just me doing all the live trainings. And then it got to the point where I was like, I can't do all these. So we brought in trainers under me who all go out and do the trainings for us.
Okay. So I'm obsessed because what I hear are 4 or 5 arms of the business. Yes. So there's 4 or 5 revenue streams that are coming in under the Miss Excel brand. Yes. So we have courses launched primarily by way of webinar.
Yes.
We have, talk to me about the panic button because I was just on your site and I noticed it and I was like, ooh, do say, what does this look like?
So this is a brand new one that we just launched literally like last week. And it's essentially where users, whenever they're in some kind of like spreadsheet emergency, or even if they just want someone to look at their spreadsheets and be like, hey, like I feel like this could be better, but I don't know what to do. We give them a panic button where they can hit a button like digitally. Yes. And then that puts you on with someone from my team 24/7. We have service around the clock for people. We have 2 different types. We have like a basic plan that's email support only. And then we also have live calls as well.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we have the courses, we have the panic button.
Yeah.
You go into corporations.
Yes.
Are you licensing your courses or are you actually teaching? Are you doing a mix?
We got both. Yep. Some companies want courses for their employees and they bulk buy them. We integrate with learning management systems. And then we also have trainers now that go out and everything's virtual and they do live 60 or 90-minute sessions at companies.
And you do it also similarly at the collegiate level?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So now we've been partnering not only with like universities on the admin and staff, but we actually just got some deals with students now, which is so exciting because I like love working with students. So we have special packages for students who get access to our courses. Because I also have, in addition to like the techie skills, I have a soft skills course too. So we integrated that for the collegiate students.
And then there is the trainers that physically go out.
No,
or digitally.
All digital. Yep, all digital.
Kat, this is incredible. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, she's here to blow your mind. Now that you understand the structure of her business, you might be asking yourself, how did this one woman show turn into beyond that and build such a successful multi-7 on your way past 8-figure business? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Congrats. Let's go back and figure out, how did we reverse engineer this type of success?
Yeah. So this all started with doing a lot of work on my mindset and myself. So if we reverse back now to like March of 2020, that is where I found myself buried in student debt, 27 years old, living in my childhood bedroom of my parents' house. And I was working a consulting job. I was doing like 50, 60 hours a week and was just grinding it out. And I was like, oh, I feel like there's something more for me, like I wasn't being creative at work. Like I was doing securitization reviews for banks, which is as fun as it sounds. And I was like, all right, there's definitely another level for me, but I feel like I'm the one standing in my own way here. And immediately when I started realizing that, I was like, okay, what tools are there out there that I can use to kind of start chipping away at these limiting beliefs that I'm essentially projecting onto myself? And I just worked on myself for a couple months every single day. I was like meditating. I was doing inner child work. I was really just doing all different modalities, sinking into a ton of them. And after 2 months, I ran out of my childhood bedroom and my mom was in there like reading in the living room. It was like 7 o'clock at night. I'm wearing like pajamas from high school, those like plaid pajamas they give you in high school. And I come running out and I'm like, Mom, I'm going to be rich and famous soon, so I need you to prepare your nervous system for that. And she just like laughing at me. She's like, Kathleen, go clean your room. Like I had no business at the time, nothing. But like energetically, I was in a place where I was already living this other reality. I look back at that time of myself. I'm like, I was like straight up delusional. But I was really just like, oh my gosh, something huge is about to happen to me. Like I have to tell my mother. Like she's the first who needs to know. And then from there, within—
Let me pause if I can.
Yeah.
So what Kat just like broke down, quite honestly, is stepping into a reality that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And so in order for you to step into a reality, so I'm going to mirror back what I heard is you were doing something that didn't light you up, that you were good at. You were living at your parents' home and you said, there's something more for me, but I'm the energetic block.
Yeah.
Then you said, because I've been there so many times, Kat, where I can physically tell I am the person who's stopping me.
Yeah.
Then what you did was practice a different modality. And so for people who are unfamiliar with the word modality, it's like meditation is modality. Inner work is a modality. Therapy is a modality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like and practices.
Practices. Great.
Yeah.
And so you start, and I heard that you're a big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Same. Like Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe and I. Okay.
Yeah.
So you start doing this work and you start expanding and you actually don't know what the future is going to hold, but you're just going to say, whatever it is, I'm ready for it and I'm going to step into it when the time comes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you tell your mom.
Yeah.
And she's like, go clean your room.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to I really want to go back and to that moment because there's people here who feel I am my own worst enemy.
Yes.
Like I am the energetic block. And so I've always maintained that every time I need to step into a new version of my business, I need to become a different person.
Yes.
And so what I hear you say is to do the work. Now, if somebody's sitting here being like, okay, I don't have money for therapy. All of this seems very woo. What were you telling yourself to start doing these practices that somebody can take action today?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing with the practices that you'll find online is like finding one that really works for you and that is going to make yourself a little bit better every single day. You're not automatically going to resonate with everything out there. But for me, I kind of just turned myself into a human experiment and was like, I'm going to try these different things and kind of give myself a chance to see, like, do I like journaling? It's the cost of buying a notebook. Do I like doing subconscious reprogramming, which is basically where you close your eyes and you put yourself into like kind of like a sleepy state. And then you start, all these childhood memories just start popping up. And you essentially go in there and show your subconscious mind that there could have been another way. So for example, it's not like rewriting your memories, but it's removing the emotional charge from them.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. So like, for example, I had this vivid memory of me crying in preschool. And I was talking to my mom about it because very interesting doing inner child work at home with your parents. And I was like, Mom, like I used to cry every day in preschool. She was like, Kathleen, that was one day. And I was like, whoa, but you only remember the ones with the emotional trigger. And now, so looking back, I was like, okay, if I can go back and just envision myself in preschool happy like I was the other days, it removes the emotional charge from that memory. And I stop holding myself back in that way. So I had a lot of separation anxiety from my mom when I was younger. And that kind of was translating now into holding myself back and being nervous to like do things, not just without her, but just on my own in general. It was more of an independence thing. And that really, when I was able to go in and clear that out, a lot started opening up. So that's just another example of a modality. There's meditation. We love Dr. Joe. I've done a bunch of his retreats, but I just started off with his book. And his book was really the science that got my Excel nerdy logical mind on board. Yeah, that like law of attraction's legit. And I was like, whoa, like this is how the universe works. It is science. So for me, I read the first 100 pages of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And I was like, whoa, I've been like doing the wrong habits for the future I want to have. So really being able to go in there and kind of find these different things. And it can be even as simple as like sitting down, thinking about your goal, and then being like, why aren't you doing it? And you're going to get these beliefs that pop up. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have the, and then it's like digging into those beliefs just to kind of pull them out of your own blind spot. And then it's a little easier to go in and work with them with the different modalities.
Okay, this is so good. So somebody right now can get to the point to where maybe they just give themselves like maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They think back and then they ask themselves, I know that I want to do something. Why am I not doing it?
Yeah.
And let's say the thought comes up, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. What then? Outside of buying Dr. Joe's book, outside, and Dr. Joe has free meditations on YouTube, just saying, like, people will always find an excuse, but there's going to be reasons for us to be able to do the work. They come up with those 2 excuses. I hear this quite often. Then how do they get over that?
Yeah. So I think there from that place, it's a layers of digging because your subconscious mind, it's going to like to hide the truth because it likes to keep things the same. It will try to keep you playing small. So, you know, I don't have enough time is going to come up and you're going to be like, oh, I don't have enough time. Silly me, can't have the dream, right? And then it's like, no, okay, why am I telling myself I don't have enough time? Is time really the issue? Or is the issue that, you know, whenever I go to sit down to do the thing that puts me in the destiny direction, I am, you know, like, ooh, like I don't look good enough. Or I don't have the, you know, like there's a lot of times layers. So I would always encourage to like going, just being like, why at each of those different layers. And then you kind of get down to the true limiting belief of like, why there's something you believe about yourself that is holding you back in place. Yeah. And then from there, it's just a matter of really working through that belief. And sometimes like I've done it a few different ways. You could do it through meditation. You could do it through like self-hypnosis. There's tons of free YouTube videos out there. But something else too is like, I call it my nervous system Olympics. I like to push myself a little bit and I'll be like, okay, like for example, let's baby step, right? Like I had a whole thing around being seen, which is hilarious if you see me.
What do you
like,
say? I had a thing around me, like, you did not
want to be seen. Yeah. And I think too, it even tied into like physical symptoms I was having. Like I still struggle with acne and I'm 32 years old. And I think it's like a thing around being seen and like a mask. And like the more it's healing, the more I'm coming out into the spotlight. And I'm like, interesting, you know? So it's one of those things where sometimes it'll even like tie into other areas of your life. But for me, I had a thing around being seen. And I was like, okay, how am I going to get over this? Not by hiding in my room. I was like, I got to get out there. So I started saying yes to things that scared me. And now I think something important is you don't have to go like full like throttle 100 miles an hour, right? Like I tried that. I did that in 2022, I believe it was. I got asked to be the keynote at Social Media Marketing World. I had never public spoken before. And I was just like, yeah, I can do that. And meanwhile, I'm like cooped up in my house in Sedona. I'm doing everything digitally. Like I had not been on a stage ever. And I got asked to do the keynote. And I was like, okay. So I practiced every single day, for weeks and weeks and weeks. And which I'm glad I did. But then when I got up there, apparently I crushed it. I still have not watched it back to this day. But everyone said I did great. And like my body went into autopilot and I like did the thing. I had everything memorized, whatnot. But I do remember afterwards, I definitely had some trauma in my body from it, where like I remember like the lights hitting my eyes and my heart pounding. And it was like the scene out of a spelling bee from a movie, when the lights hit your eyes and I like couldn't see. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was interesting because after that experience, I kind of like went into hiding a little bit and I didn't do any more public speaking stuff for another like year or so. And then Lindsay, our mutual friend, saw this in me and was like, hey, like, we're going to get you back out there. And just being the amazing friend she is, she was like, okay, like first I was on her podcast in person and started doing more in person stuff like that.
So wait a minute. You went from I've never spoken on a keynote stage to accepting a commission to speak on a keynote stage.
Yeah.
And what you hear and what I would trust was that you did very well.
Yeah.
Except that what your memories and the recollections of it was just kept in your body as I'm just not going to do that right now.
It was fear. It was like a lot of fear trapped in my body. Yeah, for sure. And then I started doing a lot of like body work to actually get it out of my body because I realized like I'm a very like mental person. Like I love just mindset stuff, but I realized I wasn't doing much with my physical body to help move the energy, which is a big part of it because emotions can get trapped in the body. And I was not really thinking about that, like growing up with anxiety and then doing things that scare me. Like I was still like holding so much tension in my shoulders and my neck and my body. So I started working with someone doing body work and somatic release work and things like that to really start to open up and let my body kind of relax into it, to let some of that energy go. That was part of it.
So the work that you're doing, and I'm taking you on this like wild rabbit hole because we started this like in 2020, and you're in your mom's, you're coming out of the room, and so all of a sudden I'm flash forwarding years of I'm now speaking on a keynote. Now we're going to go back and we're going to cover a lot here, but you struggled with anxiety, and then getting on a stage had brought about like something that had gone unaddressed, and then you say I'm going to do the work because in order for me to reach the next level of my career. Because I know your story, the work that you do, you're expanding the container that is you to hold the next level of success and next level of success. So when somebody hears, oh, Kat Norton right now has an 8-figure business, multi-8-figure business, moving on to like 9-figure business, there has to be versions of work that you do to expand into that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now let's go back. You walk out of your bedroom and you tell your mom, hey, Mom, I'm going to be a big deal. So prepare your nervous system. Yeah. Your mom says, go and clean your room. And you are still a consultant at this time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what happened?
Yeah. So at that point, I'm like, all right, go back, clean my room. And I go in there. And I just kept working on myself for another like couple weeks. And then I was on the phone with my friend Anna, and she was like, we were talking about different side hustles that I could do because I was like, all right, I got to get out of my childhood bedroom. Like, I'm just paying the student debt very slowly. Like, I'm not going to be able to like get out of here. And she was like, well, what if you put Excel on TikTok? And I was like,
no, at this point in time, you are doing what with Excel?
I was teaching it on the side of my day job. So for fun at the same company. So basically I would host like lunch and learns around our different offices, and I got like an Amazon gift
So you're
card.
like basically like Valley Victorian employee. You're saying during our lunch break, I'm going to teach a free class to other employees about Excel.
I was doing. Yeah.
Okay. So side note, you're honing a skill.
Yes.
And so you're on like the practice ground, honing a skill.
Yeah.
So that when you have a conversation and you're like, I need a side hustle, your friend holds up a mirror and says, hey, the thing that you're doing for free at work, is there another way for you to do it?
Exactly. And it was so funny because I had so much internal resistance to TikTok. I didn't even have the app on my phone at the time. I thought it was like teenagers dancing on the internet. I was like, I don't have time for that. I got a corporate job. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to study Dr. Joe, and then, but I was like, oh, maybe I should just look. So I opened the app and I searched Excel in the search bar and nothing came up. And I was like, do people just not like Excel on TikTok? Or like, has no one been crazy enough to try it? I don't know. And then it was crazy when she said it, I saw it. And I saw this vision of me dancing with an Excel screen above my head, doing like that Drake song, left foot up, right foot slide, to the left and the right function in Excel. And I was like, oh, like, interesting. And I couldn't shake this image. So like, I kind of like, I was like, oh, I don't know about that idea. And then after we hung up, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And this went on for like 2 days straight. I like was a little like manic, almost like my friend Mike was like, are you okay? I was just like, I don't know if I should make this TikTok. Da, da, da. I was so stressed about it. And on a Friday afternoon, my schedule just magically clears. The meetings fall off. I'm like, it's a sign. I better try to make a video. And I YouTubed easiest video editor. And this company called WeVideo came up. I taught myself video editing in about 45 minutes, went in the bathroom, did full glam. My mother was very confused. She's like, this is like June of the pandemic. She was like, where are you going? I'm like, don't worry about it. Closing the door, getting all done up. And I'm like in my room moving furniture. And then I started filming and I made 10 dancing clips. And then I went on Zoom and recorded my Excel screen, my clicks. And then I exported the Zoom videos, did a little editing, put it above my head and was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And so then I was like, I don't know what I'm going to call this thing though. And then the next day I wake up and it's like 6 a.m. and I'm waking up Mike and I'm like, Mike. And he's like, what? And I'm like, Miss Excel. It's Miss Excel. And I like look up and the handle's like not taken. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to take the handle. And then I was like, all right, this is just going to be my little like secret business. I don't even know if I can have this with my corporate job. And I didn't tell any of my friends.
So you're working your corporate job, but it's the pandemic.
Yeah.
So you're at home.
Yeah.
And you wake up in the middle of the night and tell your boyfriend, or in the morning, you tell your boyfriend, this is it. You still have your corporate job.
Yes.
You have the name. You have some content doing full glam with nobody going out anywhere. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So then at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take these videos and I'm going to secretly just post one video a day. And so I started posting them and only people who knew was Mike and my mother. And by the 4th video, it gets 100,000 views and gets pushed to all these coworkers because it must have synced up to my contacts in my phone or something. And I'm getting all these people messaging me like, is this you? And I'm like, I don't know, is it? And I was just like, oh gosh, like this is crazy. And then I'm like, all right, well, it's getting some traction. I best give the people what they want. I shall continue to make these videos. So I keep just making them for free. No link in my bio, no nothing. I'm just making free content every single day for around like 30-ish days. And it was somewhere in that 3-4 week mark where I had a video go viral and hit like 3.7 million views in a few days. I looked down at my phone and I had 100,000 followers on TikTok. And if you had seen my personal social media, you'd be like, this girl's not an influencer. Like I really had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, okay, like, I guess I'll just keep making more. And now at this time, the whole thing about TikTok getting banned was like really real in the news back in 2020. Yeah. I remember like I had like family members being like, oh, like, good luck with that. Like it's about to get banned. So I was like, well, I shall just hedge my risk then and create an Instagram account. So I make an Instagram and then I keep going viral on Instagram. Viral on TikTok, viral on Instagram. Next thing you know, it's like 400,000 or 500,000 followers.
And you don't have a business. You're creating content for the love of Excel and helping people. And
I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I didn't even think that far through. I knew I was going to make a course one day, but really I just had like a ton of followers, no link in my bio, no lead magnets. I was saving like content as stories. I was just a mess out there. And a business coach slid in my DMs and was just like, hey, like, notice you got a huge following, no link in your bio. What you doing? And I'm like, oh, great question. And so I ended up doing like a session with him and he was like, hey, like MailChimp, Linktree, do that, you know, like help me set it up. And then I started getting a mailing list going. And then from there, I was like, wow, I should really just make an Excel course. So I took 2 weeks off from my day job. This is in like November 2020. I said I was on vacation.
So June 2020, you start.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of followers. Yeah. You start an email newsletter.
Yeah.
You get a link in bio. You say November. What, I can't even do math that quick. That's like 5 months later that you're like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I should have something here. And so I took 2 weeks off. And at this point too, I was doing the whole like digital nomad thing. So I was like renting a house in San Diego at the time. And I was like, okay, like I'm just going to order some ring lights off Amazon. And I sent them to the house and I whipped out in about 2 weeks the coolest, most fun, engaging Excel course I could possibly think up. I was like, this is is like 2020 editing days before AI could do everything. So I was like green screening, cutting my background out. I was doing like Wheel of Functions, like Wheel of Fortune. Like I was trying to just make stuff fun. And so I created that. And then I started selling it Black Friday of 2020. Because I was like, that's what people do.
You literally created and sold it within weeks.
Yeah.
Within like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how much was the course?
So the course was
at the time
$297.
Okay.
And we were running 50% off at $149.
Great.
And then
how did you come up with that price?
The business coach helped me do that because I was like, why are all the numbers you giving me ending in 7? They're like, because if you divide it by 2, it's 149, 199. But so I'm like, I see.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, 297 feels right. And I remember he said to me too, because I naturally wanted to undercut my pricing. Because in the Excel space, like we are definitely higher priced on the market. And he was like, you are not the Walmart of Excel. Like you are the Louis Vuitton of Excel. And you need to price yourself like it. Like the amount of energy and fun and things, these are things like the world has not seen before. And you need to price it correctly. And I was like, okay. And so I priced it at that. And I started selling it Black Friday. And then by January, so like 2 months later, it was bringing in more money than my day job each month. So at that point, I was like, well, maybe I should quit my job and get like 40 hours back in my week.
Yep.
And I was like, as long as I just don't give up, like I'm going to win. Like it's going to work. There's no way it'll fail if I don't give up. And if I just make that commitment to myself, we're good. And so meanwhile,
okay, I'm going to pause. We're going to win as long as I don't give up.
Yeah. Like if you think about that logically, like as long as you commit to not stopping, you will not fail. Like statistically, you just won't. Like unless, I don't even know. But like statistically, you're going to win at some point. It just might take a little longer than you think, might be shorter than you think. But if you're one of the people that like, always say like, get in the pool. Like everyone stands on the edge of the pool and they're just like, I don't want to go in. And they like use those limiting beliefs. They stay in the same place. I was like, if I just jump in the pool.
And I stay in the pool.
We love the pool. Something great's going to happen. So I ended up quitting my job. It was a very confusing time for the management team of my company. They're like, what company are you going to? I'm like, my company. I'm
going to Miss Excel.
And they're like, to do what? I'm like, TikTok. Like, everyone's like, what? But then within a few months, I did my first webinar, which I had watched.
So you sold on Black Friday just like on social media to a newsletter list. So you didn't have like the traditional
nothing. Like,
okay. So you leave your job in January 2021. Yes. And then you have a webinar in February 2021.
Or it was April, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
In around January, February, I went on, Natalie Ellis did a Boss Babe webinar with Webinar Jam. And I watched her and I was like, oh.
So you were a watcher of somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. And I was like, oh, is this how people sell things?
Wow. Okay, this is incredible.
Look at that. So I like watched and I'm like, Webinar Jam, got it. And it was so funny. I've been on her podcast too. And I told her back that I was like, you were the first webinar I went to. And I'm like, all right, got it. Webinar Jam. And so I like taught myself Webinar Jam, built all that out. I was still a team of one at this point, still just making content every day. And I was so nervous to do my first webinar because if you knew me before this, I remember this to like zoom backwards. Mike, my boyfriend, is in sales. He's been in sales since the beginning. And we've been together like 8 years now. And we were like in his childhood bedroom and we're hanging out talking. And I was like, well, if I were to ever sell something, this is when I was at my corporate job. I'm like, if they told me they didn't want it, I'd be like, okay, like good. And like, he's like, no, that's the invitation. It takes like 9 times before someone buys. Like and I remember like being like, whoa, I could never do sales. Like, I don't think like that. Like I would never like push someone to buy something from me. And it was so funny, like my perception of sales too, because I don't like push. Like it's so interesting. But he trained me up. Like Mike was like the #1 ranked sales rep in North America. He's insane with sales. And so he sat me down, trained me up. I built a webinar with him. We created this like event and then I got on live and I was so nervous. But
wait, hold on. So you look at Natalie's webinar and you're like, there's this thing called Webinar Jam.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy Webinar Jam.
Yeah.
And then you have a conversation with Mike where months before you would be like, I could never sell.
Yeah.
And then you decide, hey, Mike, I'm going to sell. And then he becomes basically like your coach.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can do this. Like you're Rocky getting in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do this.
Totally.
We have Webinar Jam. We have Mike. We have a $297 course.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's go. But you had mentioned early on in childhood, you struggled with anxiety.
Yes.
And is this something at this point in time you've already addressed and you're like, I feel good? Or do you have to do the work around anxiety to show up? Because people aren't going to say no. They're going to say no.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I mean, the anxiety even still to this day flares up. I'm constantly working on myself. Like, 'cause every time I inch to a new level, it'll like be like, ooh, you can't do that, you know? So I was at a point though where I think I was still riding my like pure delusion train of like,
All right,
I was just like, I was on one. Like, I still look back at that time and was like, whoa, I can't even, I would love to sit and talk to myself at that stage and be like, you good?
Are you okay?
I was just so sure of this. And I was nervous because it was live. I remember being like, oh gosh, like what if my Excel doesn't work? You know, like all little things like that. But I pushed myself because it was also, oh my gosh, it was also Business Insider had reached out. And I was just about to hit 6 figures. And I told them like, hey, like I'm about to hit 6 figures. They're like, well, if you want in print that you have 6 figures, like you need to go make 6 figures. And I was like, got it.
Done.
So I was like, webinar. And so like that was part of what pushed me to do it. I had like some like external pressure being like, okay, this can be the article printed about me. Like I'm so close to like a vanity metric I wanted to hit. Like let's make this happen. So I get on the webinar and it went really well. Like because I've taught before. So like the teaching was easy. My pitch went well. I made $50,000 in 1 hour and hung up and was like, that was like half my day job salary. So I was just like tripping. I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Webinars. So then I proceed to double, triple down on webinars. And I built out over like around that time period, because I believe on that webinar or the next one, I was selling courses that didn't exist yet. So which is
so good. Okay, let's play here because I feel like you're just breaking a lot of beliefs right now. Because what we just heard was you saw something, you bought it, you got to hype up, you're delusional, I'm going to try it. And then you're like, because this is working so well and because I'm getting used to sales, I'm going to sell something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. So at this point, I was like, okay, like if people like Excel, I already obviously know all the other Microsoft Office apps really well. Why don't I just make courses in that and bundle them together? So I made 7 other courses that didn't exist yet and bundled it with one that did exist and then put a deadline of when those courses would be done by. And then I whipped out an 100 video course every single week for like 6-7 weeks. And I still had no team. So I would day 1 design the course, organize it, map it out. Day 2 and 3, I would go in and film the course because if it's a 12-hour course, it's 2 6-hour days. Easy, you know, little time in between. I don't script, everything just flows through. And then the next 3 days I would edit, which took the longest time for me because I was like not a professional editor at the time. And then the last day is the day I would like get the web page up and launch. And I just rinse, repeat because I had a deadline. I'm a generator in human design. If you cannot tell either, I went into like Energizer bunny mode and I was so lit up. And so
so I'm going to slow this down for 1 second because people are going to be hearing this and I just want to make sure that we're really understanding. You have a webinar and you sell courses that don't exist. Now, one of the 7 exists. So you say, buy this bundle right now. People do. They get access to the Excel one. And then you say, by this date, this one will be ready. By this date, this one will be ready. So people bought in a bundle knowing that they weren't going to get access to certain parts of the bundle for 30, 60 days later. And everybody was okay with that. Myth busted. There it is.
Great. It's crazy. Great. Like
so what did you sell the bundle for?
So the bundle at the time was $4.99.
Great. So you
$4.99.
So you more than doubled.
That was $4.99 on a sale, actually. So it was normally, we would sell it at $4.99.
Great. So then you more than doubled. So immediately, like your LTV, the lifetime value of a customer, doubled because of the bundle immediately.
And that helped a lot. Like that's how we jumped in a year from 6 figures to 7 figures because it was the bundling and the webinars. And then from there, once the courses were built, I was like, this is great. So I just kept running webinars. Like I would do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
What do you mean 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off?
So I would promote the event for 2 weeks and then run 1, then turn into 2, then turn into 3 because we were maxing out Webinar Jam with like registrants. So, and then I started pulling in affiliates and then I'd give them their own private days because we had like huge ones like the Morning Brew, which has like, millions on their mailing list. So they'd get their own private days. I started partnering with all the other Excel accounts who didn't have courses.
So go back. How did you get that agreement with Morning Brew? I mean, that's huge. That is a huge opportunity.
Manifested it.
What do you mean? Okay, well, we're going to unpack that right now. Okay.
So my whole business pretty much has been inbound leads. So energetically, I would just align myself to like, hey, I want big opportunities. I want big things. And then they flow into my messages.
Okay, but when you say I align myself energetically, there's people who are listening and being like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. So big thing first, remove those limiting beliefs that are holding you back from that you can't have it. Because that's block number one. Once that's open, it's like, okay, like getting yourself into a place where you mentally like already have it. And I just always kind of live my life on that next timeline, like what I was when I was like, in my childhood bedroom, right? Like I'm always kind of a step ahead in how I present myself, how I live. Like I would wake up every day and be like, what would the version of me who had all these things be doing? And kind of like living from that place. So I think that was a big part of it. But every corporate deal, I've never reached out for press, every press outlet, every corporate deal, every partnership, like has all come to me.
So you're saying I'm living in an energetic space where these opportunities are already done.
Yeah.
So it's done and I'm going to get inbound leads.
Yeah.
And so what preceded Morning Brew reaching out to you? How did, where does it kind of like, I always think of certain things as sometimes there's an event that's like a domino.
Yeah.
Were you featured on a press outlet that got indiscriminate distribution and all of a sudden it's like, it just kind of fulfilled into more?
Yeah. I mean, in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to build a brand people want to talk about. And the company started growing. It started growing quickly. And then one media outlet picked it up. And then when I was on The Verge's podcast, Decoder with Nilay Patel. And it was 2 days after we had our first 6-figure day.
Okay.
And I told him that and he blew it up. And the next thing you know, 30 other media outlets picked up this article that I make
that's a good
6-figure
hook,
days.
6-figure days.
Yeah, it just goes viral across the media. But with the Morning Brew, I think they'd always kind of been watching because they do things where they partner with creators a lot and they kind of bring them in-house. So originally it was more of a deal like that. And I was like, I'm not coming in-house, but I would love to work with you. And I was like, what about this? And I pitched them our affiliate program. And then I did the same thing with other Excel creators. So there's so many Excel creators. At this point, there's 50 of us.
Okay.
And a lot of them don't make money. And it also pisses me off that they're amazing creators, but a lot of them don't have business backgrounds and they're just struggling to make money. And I'm like, we got to figure something out. And so I created this affiliate program with a 50-50 split.
Amazing.
And I take care of everything.
Amazing.
So we host the events. We do all that. Literally, I just hand you a link and you push it as much or as little as you want. And it's your own print money button. And I pitched that to all of my what would be competitors. And now we all work together.
That's amazing.
And we have a ton of, so we have tons of different Excel content creators, all different finance creators.
Get out.
Yeah.
So good.
So that is constantly bringing us leads every month too. And then we do a 50-50 split of the revenue. So that's something that scaled the business quickly. Morning Brew was one of the big ones. And that's always one of our case studies because we made a lot of money with them. And then, the other big Excel creators, there's ones with 8 million followers. I only have 2 million, so I'm there's bigger audiences out there. And a lot of them have one course or they just don't want to do webinars. They don't want to be on camera.
It's a totally different skill set.
It is. And a lot of Excel people are myself, data nerds, but a lot of them don't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Which I get. I was like that too. So I think it's, one of those things where I was like, okay, how can I scale this in different ways once we had the webinar system on lock? And now I've done over 200 webinars. So we just keep dialing.
And at this rate, at this time, are you still keeping that pace 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off?
I was not now, but I stopped in November of last year. So November of 2024, I hit a wall.
Okay.
And I had been doing probably 7 or 8 in a week every month. And I would rent a house in Scottsdale because I live in Sedona up in the mountains and the Wi-Fi is not great. And I would never want to risk, all the traffic they brought in. So I was doing sometimes 2 a day. They'd end up being 90 minutes. And I'm such an empath and energetically sensitive.
Yeah.
So it was, 40,000 people in a week that I would be interacting with. And I was like, this is a lot on my body, a lot on my energy. But I kept pushing because it was making so much money. I'm like, this is good. We'll just keep going. And then I remember it was November's webinar. I had a migraine from being so tense in my body.
Yeah.
My body was holding all that energy. And I had literally for breakfast before the webinar, I had some leftover steak from Capital Grill and 2 Excedrins. And I was like, this is not my highest timeline. I was and I turned to Mike and I was like, this is the last time I'm coming to this house. I called up my team. I'm like, this is my last live webinar right now. I was like, I'm done. I got to the point where I was like, I don't care what it does to the business. I will find other ways to make money. I won't give up. It'll be fine. And so what I did was for December, which is one of our biggest months, so it was kind of bold to do this for one of those months, we switched everything over to Evergreen.
Okay.
And we started off with just taking previously recorded high-performing webinars because we had so many to choose from at this point. And with Webinar Jam, there's the sister company. We flipped them to evergreen. And we started running that December, January, February. Now it's September. And I've still just stayed evergreen because financially it makes way more sense because we were able to open up the affiliate side. So instead of me being able to just have like three or four, we started reaching out to all these different newsletters and like actually showing that we do affiliates now. So like before that, it was kind of like more hush hush, like people would reach out, like we get certain deals. But then now I was like, okay, like we can actually promote this affiliate program because we can bring these people in. I create a custom discount code for them. We have a custom event where it's the same event, but like we switch like the slide back there as like the sponsor, quote unquote. And then, we're able to track and do the 50-50 split with that. So then from there, we brought in all these other newsletters, all these other creators. And that's been a way that we've been constantly scaling now.
That's amazing. Do you run ads?
So we do run ads. The ads have been like maybe like 10% of our business though, like maybe 10, 15. Like most of it is still just organic and through the affiliates.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So as you're growing this business, and when you said it was November of 2023, that's literally 3 years almost to the date of
2024 I did the lives. It was just, less than a year ago I stopped.
4 years of like this constant ascension and growing.
Yeah.
And when you say I called the team, what did your team look like then? What does it look like now? And who did you have to become in order to build a team that gets you past 8 figures?
Yeah. So we have a team of 15 now. And it was like my core team who I called. So it's like me, Mike is our CFO, my best friend from college, and we worked together for 5 years.
So you brought Mike, who was started off as your kind of like sales coach, but he had a different full-time sales job.
Yes, he did.
When did you transition him into the business?
That was in May of 2022.
Okay.
So, or maybe May of 2023. No, it was 2022. Yeah. And he did a year with Gerard Adams and was doing sales for him.
Oh.
After, he had like came out of working at Enterprise for like many, many years.
So he goes Enterprise, Gerard Adams.
Yeah. And doing like high ticket sales for him, which was really cool for him because I feel like it took him out of like car salesman vibes into like emotional intelligence, like working, because it's a very different sale.
Oh my God.
So
this is such an asset. Are you kidding me?
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, Mike.
Yeah,
he's
so well-rounded. And he now runs our corporate sales division. So we have sales reps under him, like doing the corporate side of things too. So he came on. And then one of my best friends, Carissa, is my CMO. So like it's the three of us as the C-suite, which is so fun. And I will say too, like I got a lot of from people being like, you can't work with Mike when we first started. And I was like, watch me. Like, like we have such an amazing relationship. I was like, this is like not, anything different. And then same thing with my friend Carissa. But I will say like all three of us have done a lot of inner work together, like on all those different modalities too, which is I think how it helps working with your best friend, your boyfriend. Like most people will be like, shouldn't do that. But like for us, it just works so well. And then we have an amazing team of 15. So when I called them up, they were like, yep. Let's flip it. We got it. And I was like, okay. And so we just immediately went into how can we change this next launch for December because it's our big like holiday one. And we just rolled with it. And then from there, we've been just constantly tinkering again, like landing pages, show up rates, all the things.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm every month going through and I still film new events, except now I just have to film them one time in my house in Sedona. And I'm able to like go on and we still have like the chats and everything going. So it feels like a live experience. We just don't promote it as live because we don't want to be deceptive about it. But like for most people, they still have that same amazing experience, except I don't have to film it 8 times doing the same class. I just do it once.
That's incredible. So when do you have the title CEO?
Yes.
So you have Mike as your
CFO and head of corporate sales.
And Chris as CMO.
Yes.
And when you look at your role as CEO now, when you have systematized and you are tinkering, what do your days look like? What does your week look like?
Yeah, great question. So we basically got the business to a spot where this happened last summer. Last summer, I was like just taking the summer off from webinars. So at that point, like I had outsourced 95% of my job and 95% of Mike's job. And we lived in Europe last summer because I was like, we built something for freedom and I don't want to, get sucked in and lose the freedom. And same thing with him. So we had a sales team under him and we just didn't work all summer. But then I got back and it was interesting. The business still grew and did its thing, and which was cool to see.
Which is amazing. Like, it was cool. Like that's kind of huge.
It was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay. It was cool. And then when I got back, I was like, dang, I miss it though. And so when we got back, I was like, okay, like where do I fit in at this point? Because I've been just doing like, I do podcasts, I do like things I can't outsource, like podcasts, speaking engagements, And I'm basically like the sergeant shot caller. So if someone like, comes to me and they're like, hey, like, here's this, I use my intuition and I'm like, okay, this is what we do. And I'm very intuitive. I run the whole business on my intuition. And so I was like, okay, like, how can I further like grow my role though? Because I wasn't really doing much. Like I had this moment, it was a few months ago when we switched to Evergreen and I was just addicted to Sudoku puzzles. And I was like, this is a problem. I'm like, I should really be doing something better with my time, but like, I just love these Sudoku puzzles. And then I was like, all right, we gotta launch another company. So then it kind of rolled into, okay, like so many people are reaching out to us with Excel problems in my DMs. I cannot go through and help all these people and look at their spreadsheets. What if we built a company that's a service where they can go in and get help from our team? So like that's something I've been building out since May that finally just launched. And then I've been working on just some other side projects.
That's incredible. So you spend most of your week, like prior to a side project, when you were going to launch the panic button offer, how much of your time during the week were you spending on that? And then how much of your time are you creating content?
Yeah, so I don't create content anymore pretty much. So maybe like once a quarter, I'll like do a few things. But we have so many dancing videos of me that my team just puts different Excel tips over my head. And so I don't touch content.
Out.
Yeah.
Are you hearing? I'm looking at my content team. I've been doing it wrong. Wait, what?
Yeah. I've not posted or touched. We post every day on every platform, like new content. And our team just finds new Excel tips. I have someone who does my screen recordings. And then I have someone who like picks the video of me dancing. We pop it to an editor. They go clip, put the little things on. I have someone in the Philippines doing my reel covers. And they post for me my accounts every day.
Okay.
Hold on.
For people who are not on YouTube, I have like my content creator just like, you don't like dancing. You don't like dancing. Okay. And how do we contextualize this? Like you've done a lot of dancing. Yeah. Many of us who are watching haven't done that level or haven't done any. Yeah. But like my whole key here is she did something that ended up being B-roll in some capacity.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really just B-roll. And then for Excel content, we just have people put over my head. A lot of times too, just plain Excel screen videos go viral and I don't have to touch any of that. So like just having content that goes without me, because that was a big part of my job, like that I needed to release in order to like have pure freedom in my life. I was like, okay, I'm spending too much time in it. So yeah, we outsource pretty much all that to our team now.
I feel like my mind is blown right now. It felt
good. It felt really good.
Okay, so I always believe, and I've always maintained that I want to get around people who are expanders, people who expand the way that you think. Like there is a commonly held belief, and then we don't even know that it's commonly held. We don't even hold it as true. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I meet somebody who has millions and you continue to go viral and you continue to grow and you're like, yeah, I stopped doing the content.
Yeah.
And I like the story I'm telling myself is like, no, Jasmine, you're the cog in the wheel. And
I get that so much. I felt the same way. I remember being like, oh, like I'm always gonna have to do this. And now really the only time I do things is like if I have like a very specific deal with a brand or like something where they actually really need me. Or if I get like, I built a studio in my house to be able to like film in. So we have like a course recording studio and like a TikTok and Reels recording studio, which I made before I stopped kind of making content. But maybe like a few times a year I'll give them fresh B-roll. You know, we got all the lighting set up and stuff like that. Or if I want to like film the webinars or make a course, it makes it easier. But yeah, no, I mean, they do an awesome job. They're way better at content than I am. Actually, Carissa has a side business called Vision Boards Charcuterie, and she makes these baller charcuterie board videos. And she was going viral all the time too. So I think finding like a person who has like that sauce of like going viral, and she was able to like apply it to our content, kind of organize like, okay, these tips, these things. So, I mean, it applies to charcuterie boards too.
That is incredible. Okay. So then when you're thinking about the structure of this new business, it's different than course creation and bundling and evergreen in some capacity. So how did you come up with this idea? Like you knew that there was like this demand, but then how do you come up with the structure of the offer?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Excel, there's like a few different ways you can do it. But for me, I was like, I want something pre-recorded. I want something evergreen. I want something where like this is creating the life I want to live, where I don't put myself back on the hamster wheel. So it's not like a live group coaching program or something like that. Yeah. I was like, I want this to be something that can live on without me. So that was the first thing. And then I also wanted it to be something that was edited. because a big part of our brand is infusing things with creativity. Like if you look at my courses side by side with another Excel course, there is no comparison. Like it is like I'm in different worlds, especially with AI now. Like our Excel course, like we do like a whole thing on like restaurants, and I'm dressed as a chef and I'm in a restaurant and we're looking at the chef data. I'm at the zoo. I'm dressed as a zookeeper. I have so many outfits from Amazon. I like dress as all these different things. Like we have 12 modules and I'm in 12 different worlds. We built the worlds in a spreadsheet. So these, like literally there's a zoo built in your spreadsheet that you're like going through and you're working with the animal data. Like, because if you're going to hang out with me, it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great time.
I'm like, you are not going to sit through a boring Excel course on my watch. So that is where, like, for me, the part that feels really good is like infusing things with creativity, making things fun, like pushing the boundaries. Like I'm always looking at like the latest stuff with like AI and how we can make things cooler and cooler and cooler. And that'll be like when I refilm typically for the cool factor, because Microsoft products don't change that much, which is another like plus of this industry. It's one of the top performing core subjects. It doesn't change much. Great for evergreen. But yeah, and then some people though, some companies still wanted customization. And that's where at first Mike was selling me. Mike obviously did an amazing job of selling me, but he would like land like a huge like 80 grand deal and then just be like, yeah. And I'm like,
oh, right.
I'm like, I have to go do 10 trainings now. Like it was just like, And so that energy though, I immediately recognized, I was like, that's not good for expansion of the business. So I am bottlenecking. What can I do? And then I remember thinking like, no one could teach like me. Bullshit. People could teach like me. And so I was like, okay, I'll just train people who are bubbly and nice and kind and have great energy, who also are really good at Excel. Like it was kind of like American Idol. I was trying to find a diamond in the rough. Like I remember like interviewing for this and I'm like, because you need like kind of.
What was the job title that you used to interview for it?
That was a spreadsheet trainer. And we had like hundreds of applicants. And I typically, when we open up a job position, we get flooded. So typically what I do is I keep it open for like a week, and then I have a job form doing like a pre-screening, and then I have a ton of different people. And then what I typically—
As part of this role though, did they have to submit something on video? Because I mean, I would assume like very stereotypically that a presenter is probably—
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
We had one-way video interviews. We use a company called HireFlix. It's amazing. You could do like, you make a little video and then it just goes out to everybody. That's how we hire always, because I can't get on one-on-ones with all these people.
Okay.
And I want to catch your vibe. Like there's so much I can get from a job form, you know? And then we had one-way interviews. And then I also had them show me their spreadsheets. I was like, show me the spreadsheets you're most proud of and like walk me through them. And that's
so
where
good.
I was able to see like their creative abilities and things like that. So yeah, now we have trainers. And then I also have spreadsheet specialists on my team who are better at Excel than I am. Like I was like, I want someone who I can ask a question to. So I found like really amazing, like full in the best way possible data nerds who are amazing and creative. So they help build out the products for like, if I'm filming a webinar, I film a fresh class every time. It takes a long time to build out classes with like macros, which is like automations, where essentially like when I finish a lesson, I hit a button and a new one pops up. And it's like, you know, like we make it like theatrical. Like we do like those escape rooms. Like we have like escape room Excel spreadsheets where like you're going through and getting through different layers of the room. And then we have something at the end. Like I kind of always bring like a storyline, even in my free events. So that way when you get to the course, it's like what you're expecting, like good times. Yeah.
My God. Okay. So then, I want to go in like 1,000 different directions, but you know that you want this to be something that runs without you. Yeah. Something that could immediately go to evergreen. And then what makes you think this is the structure of it? Like we have one tier of email support. Yeah. And we have one tier of you can get on a call. Like what makes you, how do you get here?
Yeah. I mean, I was really just flying by the seat of my pants, like in terms of like how we're going to like keep this and like build this. I mean, in the Excel world, I was like, people learn from courses. So I was like, I'll make courses. And I'm like, how do I sell the courses? Natalie had a webinar. Great idea. Like I literally had I have an MBA, but like I didn't learn any of this stuff like in business school. Like it was not like the digital world's like the wild, wild west. Yeah, like it's so different. Yeah, it is. And so I was like, okay, like, you know, I was kind of just watching my friends. Like I'm friends with a lot of people in like the business and coaching space. And I invested in masterminds. I was in James Wedmore's mastermind for a couple years.
So was I. I didn't know you were in James' mastermind.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like last year and the year before, So like I was kind of just surrounding myself with people. And that was something too, where like you move to a mountain town alone across the country. I grew up in New York. And so like we had no friends, Mike and I, and we moved to like hiking town basically. And I was like, where am I going to find cool entrepreneurial friends? And we called them in, like manifested like a really cool group of friends. And we do something too, where like whenever we see people in Sedona who we have like mutual friends with, we will literally just like DM them and be like, hey, want to hang out? And then we take them off-roading and things. So we started just growing like a friend group. And then I host dinner parties at my house, and we like just keep introducing people to each other to kind of grow a community there of like cool, like young entrepreneurs. Yeah. So it's been fun.
So you say we have a problem that we are uniquely qualified to solve.
Yeah.
And the way we're going to solve this problem is one by email, one by picking up a phone.
Oh, for the Excel panic button?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So for that one, yeah, really the way to solve a problem is either you need to like work with the spreadsheet over email, or we do Zoom calls.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have that one is during US business hours. The email service is 24/7.
And who's buying this?
Yeah. So
who's like your customer?
I got a story on this one too. Like this one did not take off right away. And this was a great learning lesson for me. So this was a couple weeks ago. We like soft launched it, right? And we got like 4 customers. My mailing list is like 500,000. I was like, something is wrong here. And so at that point, I was like, all right, I guess let's try again. Like we're doing things. And then we got a few more. But I'm like, this is not at the scale. We need to scale this. And so I was like, I went to Bell Rock, which is a place in Sedona where a lot of people's like manifestations come through. Like every time I go there, like money falls out of the sky, dead. It's like huge, just things happen, like massive tax money back, just random things.
Okay.
And so I went there and I'm like standing on Bell Rock and I'm like talking to the universe. I'm like, okay, like what do I do like about this Excel panic button business? And this tarantula just like comes up toward my feet. And I'm like, okay, 1, I'm scared. But 2, what's the spiritual meaning of tarantula? And a big part of it is patience. And I'm like, okay, next day. I see this like praying mantis, another thing, patience. And I'm like, okay, like there's something I'm missing, or there's some like patience thing, like just keep hanging on to this business because I'm losing money every month if I don't get it to break even. And then I get on with my team and I'm like, I think we're selling this wrong. And so we were talking and thinking back to like stuff we learned in James's mastermind. And then we thought about the football phone. Do you remember the whole football phone thing?
Explain.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the football phone is basically there was, I guess.
Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Okay. You might know more about than I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Like all I remember is like someone was trying to sell a membership and you got a free football phone.
Okay. Well, let me go.
You go
okay,
deeper.
so real quick. So Sports Illustrated is a famous sports magazine.
Yeah.
And they started noticing that their subscriptions were dropping. So they decided that they had this promotion around this football phone. And people were like, oh my God, how do I buy that phone?
Yeah.
And it was just like a random prop. So then Sports Illustrated said, okay, people want the phone, but they don't want a subscription. So how about if you bought a subscription, you got the phone?
Yes. Okay. Full story.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I gotta go back and tell that to my team because we just do like bits and
You're
pieces.
like, oh, football phone. We need to get the phone. Okay.
Yeah. So literally this was like last week. It was like a Monday. We launched our full list. Like nothing was really happening. And we were supposed to send another email the next day. It's like Tuesday at like 3:30 p.m. I was like, we need a football phone.
Get out.
So I literally built another product out that day. And that was like all different. It was a really good bundle. It was like productivity power pack bundle. I was like, this thing's stacked. And then I loaded in a script into ChatGPT of someone else's football phone I found from a YouTube video, told it the product I want to sell. It pops out a script, got on camera, filmed the script. Mike wrote the email, put it together. Sales took off. I was like, damn, the football phone.
Get out.
It really, like, I was like, dang, I was selling this wrong. And now we're about to sell it on webinars too with a free trial for the first week also. So we're going to see if like that helps get more people in the door.
You're saying, so the split test would be football phone methodology. And then you're doing webinar, but are you doing webinar with football phone or just webinar and then free trial?
Webinar, selling our normal stuff. And then that is a gift with purchase. You get a free trial of it only to people who have already spent money with us and bought.
I got it.
Yeah.
You know what? Damn. I just feel like I just need like a martini and a cigarette. I'm like, what? This right here, this has been so good. Now, number one, I don't drink martinis or smoke cigarettes. Okay, fine.
Same.
I'm like, but still, like, I'm just saying, like, you know, like my soul is like that of Scott Fitzgerald. You know, I'm out here like living my best life. Yeah. This was so fascinating. You are fascinating. You are an expander. And I just want to say thank you for speaking your truth, for opening eyes. And I started off like, right off camera, I said, We want to inspire and show people how to think differently.
Yes.
Check. And then we want them to take an action.
Yeah.
So based on this conversation, somebody's at home, what do you want them to do?
Yeah, I would say biggest thing is taking messy action. And in a way that's like, if you're like, oh, there's something I want, but I don't know if I could get it. Like stage one is like working through those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at least that's how I started and how the journey of growing was so much faster because I didn't have like in my way anymore. So most of the time it's your own shit that's in your way. So I think a big part of it is like having an honest look at yourself, and it takes courage to do that. It's like a bravery thing because you have your mask on even to yourself. So it's a matter of like, okay, like I actually want to like go take a look and be like, why am I not doing the thing I want to do? And then either give yourself like a little nudge, like push yourself in the pool, like do something, even if it's not the big thing, like doing like a baby step.
Yep.
Like that's something I do with my nervous system Olympics, where essentially like I make a list every week of like little things I could do to push myself a little bit further, so it doesn't rip my nervous system. I do it more like a rubber band. We stretch that so then we don't create trauma in the body.
So we're talking about an action item, and then you said take messy action, and then you had said about your Olympics. And then you had said, well, I do something to rubber band stretch it. What is an action that's, I'm not going to jump into the pool, but I'm going to kind of sort of inch towards getting off the ledge. What's like an exercise that somebody might be able to do to be like, can I test it? What's like a test that they can do?
I mean, it depends what you're working on. So an example for me was like, this is interesting, more personal side. I had not been driving. I literally didn't have a car. And then I built the business, bought a couple cars, but then Mike and I do everything together. So Mike's always driving. He's an insanely good driver. And then I realized like I was nervous about driving. I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, behind the wheel. It was definitely like an independence thing linked to everything. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get in the car every week and just go somewhere and stretch my nerve. And now I just like hop in the car, don't even think about it. I'm in like a rental car today, not even my car. Like that's something for me personally I was working through where I was like, okay, like I don't have to like jump in the car and drive to California.
Right.
But like little thing, I'm like, I'm going to drive it to the coffee shop. I'm going to drive it here. And then all of a sudden, like a few weeks later, I was like, oh, I'm not scared of driving. What?
Yeah.
And I can't even like look back at that timeline. Now it sounds so ridiculous to me. But like at the time, I'm like, I could like go on stage and do all this stuff and I can't drive my car.
Yeah.
You know, like it was such a like weird thing. So like for me, it was like finding those things in myself because they're tied to other things. It's tied to like a layer of independence. It's tied to like being out on my own. It's tied back to separation anxiety as a kid, you know? So I was able to recognize that and be like, okay, this is tied to other stuff.
Yeah.
And then once I cleared that one, I was like, all right, nervous system Olympics. What's next? What's next? What can I do to scare myself? Not in a super dramatic way like I did with the keynote, but like smaller, baby scale.
So we started off this conversation understanding like what it takes for you to step into different versions of your business. And when you look back over a container of time, like 5 years, what you've been able to do and achieve and expand into, what I heard was every version of you demanded time to go back, reflect, and then break limiting beliefs in order for you to expand. And then you're telling us to go and take messy action. And when people hear that, they're like, yes, but what? And you're like, it is as small as a rubber band. It is as small as a 10-minute car ride, as small as like a 10-second TikTok or a reel.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kat Norton, the queen that she is. I knew it was going to be a great conversation, and I am just deep gratitude to connect with Kat at miss.excel on Instagram. Let's send people there and check out the panic button, right? You sign up to one of her webinars, see what this queen is doing. You are fascinating and inspiring in all types of new levels of courageous. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. This was such a blast.
Oh gosh. Thank you for watching and listening to The Jasmine Star Show.